Howdy, y'alls, and welcome back to Anthropology 315. It's me, Dr. Edwards, here to help you out with Module 2, Anthropology and the Environment. Wow, I gotta say, we cram a whole lot into this module, and I really encourage you all to read through our materials and check out all the extra resources posted in the module as well as in this announcement. Now, um, our main readings this week, I don't want to rehash them because, frankly, I don't have time to go through all the details here in this little video. But, our text gives a really nice overview of some of the major environmental crises that we see in the world today and gives nice case studies, deforestation, tropical rainforests, ecocide in the Soviet Union. There's tons of them. And I really suggest you to read through them. We also, this week, along with these kind of case studies in the readings, are some key perspectives that are highlighted. Like Max Weber and the spirit of capitalism, right? That, capitalistic philosophies tend to undermine sustainability because it's always about accumulation, right? Not accumulation is a good way to say it, that you want more. And we got Hardin and the tragedy of the commons. This is another great example that exemplifies how individual desires and wants can negatively affect group needs. Make sure to give those a good thorough going through. This week for my video, I really want to kind of focus in on ethnography. All right, this is a really key, important piece of anthropology, cultural anthropology in particular. And so what I want to do is kind of give you a little overview and some insights into this key anthropological method, and highlight its value. So, looking at my notes here. Yeah, let's start with Malinowski. Bronislaw Malinowski. Now, it's really Malinowski that we get to give credit for kind of giving value and demonstrating how important doing ethnographic research is. Now, up until Malinowski, anthropologists were, they didn't go. They didn't go see, experience, and live in these other cultures. They tended to sit in their ivory towers and use secondhand accounts, missionary journals, travelers' journals, things like that. And they'd sit in at their desk and take all this secondhand information and present cultural theories. As you can imagine, not very well supported, right? That, going, doing, and experiencing gives you a lot more inside understanding of a cultural group and practice or practices than sitting behind a desk, right? So that should be a no-brainer. But it's really important to recognize that Malinowski was really influential in this, and it's kind of a funny story. It was kind of serendipitous, but a complete coincidence. He actually got stuck in the Trobriand Islands with the outbreak of World War One. And he either had to stay on the islands or go live out the rest of the war in an internment camp, and so he was literally forced to go do ethnographic. Well, it wasn't forced, but it's kind of happened naturally, if you would. And we talk about how Malinowski went off the veranda. He got down off of being separated from the local community and started living with the local community. Now, I got to stress, he was still very much a colonial individual. Lots of ideas of superiority, things like that. I'm not going to go into all those details, but we do need to recognize that Malinowski played a really vital role in this. And I'm going to try to put a video in down below focusing in on Malinowski and the advent of ethnography, if you would. Now, I want to. Lots of people think that ethnography is this wonderful thing. You go and live with the culture, and you learn all about their ways and yada yada. Well, yeah and no. uh, it's really important to understand that you have to take a lot of time. Right? Ethnography is not something that happens in a couple of weeks or months. Right? It takes years. And the more that you're living at a local level, the more insight you tend to gain. Right? There's a big difference between I've seen folks do this. They move to another country and they set up camp in the capital, and basically live at a hotel, and kind of spend a few hours each day talking with locals or something like that. No, that isn't what we're talking about here. I'm talking about full immersion. For me, I had a bit of a I don't know different. How it happened, I guess, was a bit different. I was a Peace Corps volunteer, and so I spent almost 3 years living in a mud hut, learning local languages, local practices and values. And so when I went back to West Africa, particularly Mali, to do my master's research and my doctoral research, I already had a lot of the stuff that people spend a lot of time doing. I had already had two of the local languages, three if you include French, the colonial language. And without this, you can't understand anything. You need the language. Language is culture. Culture is language. The way you think, right, in a language is different than the way you think in another language. It's kind of funny. Once you start dreaming and thinking in another language, it gives you a good idea that you're getting you're getting good insights. All right. Looking at my notes here. There's this idea that somehow ethnographers, cultural anthropologists, when they go and they do field work, that they're somehow objective and remain distanced from those that they study. And for a while, that's kind of how it was. That's how it was kind of in Malinowski's era. But we've come a really long way from then, and we now understand that it's objectivity is really limited, right? Or it's very relative is a better way to say it. As an ethnographer doing ethnographic research, you're going to affect those that you're studying, and they're going to affect you. Right? It's a two-way street. It's not just I am looking in and observing these folks from afar. It's a very intimate experience, I think is a good way to describe it. It'll fundamentally change you. All right. There's usually when you go to a foreign culture and immerse yourselves in it, you kind of go through a series of phases. You kind of have this initial honeymoon phase, like, oh, this place is so wonderful, I love all these things, and then that quickly wears off within a few weeks, and you're like, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? I can't believe. I'm like, I miss my hamburgers, I miss this, I want that. And it takes a while. The key is that you want to actually develop relationships. This is the way that I work. In all my ethnographic research that I've done in West Africa, I never just kind of like intruded on in. I'm like, I'm just going to come observe you guys for a while. No, you had to be a productive member of the group, right? And there's give and take in that. A great example, when I was doing my doctoral research, one of my key consultants, he's a traditional practitioner, one of the most renowned in West Africa. People come from all over to see this guy. Now, he trained me, and because he was training me, he can ask things of me, like, because he's giving me insights, right? He's giving me inside cultural understandings by taking me under his wing and showing me the things that he does. Now, I would be really remiss if I thought that, oh, that I just get all this and I give nothing. Okay, it doesn't work like that, right? Reciprocity is a really important aspect of doing ethnographic research. Um, so yeah, he actually used me as a selling gimmick, right? Come have your medicine made by the crazy American, and he drummed up clients like that, and that was a way that I gave back, if you would. It's important to keep in mind some real basic ethical considerations and understanding that you are not an island in of yourself. You influence those around you, and they influence you. You're gonna get made fun of. You're gonna be ridiculed. Being a foreigner and a in another land is a very eye-opening experience. Gotta tell you a little silly story. When I first lived in Mali, I used to eat lunch every day at a particular little shack on the road. And every day I'd pass this guy, and I thought he was saying, "How are your fields?" It's pretty kind of standard question because it's a very agricultural community. Okay, except there was a problem. I was misunderstanding one of the words, and he knew this because the word kind of has two meanings depending on how you use it. It can mean penis or it can mean field. And it turns out every day he was asking me how my penis was, and I would be like, "Oh yeah, no, my penis is great. Thanks for asking." And everyone in the village would laugh at me. And that went on for 6 months or so before I finally realized what was going on. It was a bit of a wake up call. And after it kind of came out, he and I had a good laugh over it all. And he's like, "Oh no, you're finally getting to understand the language. That's really good. You're one of us now." Um, you know, don't let that give you the wrong idea. I never consider myself Malian, if you would, because that's where I did my research in Mali. Rather, I developed an intimate relationship with folks there that showed me what things meant to them. All right, and I had to respect their ideas, their beliefs, their values, while withholding my own, if you would. Sometimes with some individuals, you develop a really, really close relationship with, and it's they become family. I still stay in contact with many of my key informants from my research, even though that ended years ago. These folks are very important to me, and I am to them, and this really kind of underscores that it's this organic relationship, that you're not distanced, you're not separated. You're living it, if you would. Now, a big issue is, so how do you share that? And those that are writers, this is where we actually draw on a lot of kind of contemporary literature. We want to be able to share the things that we learned in a way that's readily digestible. Because if you write things in scientific ease or whatever, folks, it really kind of separates you from your audience, right? So in my writing about the folks that I've studied and the practices that I've studied, I write it like a story. That way, the reader gets a better understanding of who I am, my own positionality, my own background, and how that colors my perspective. My own cultural bias, so they can take that into account when they read whatever I write. Yeah, I could go on and on and on. Unfortunately, yeah, I'm already almost at 15 minutes here, and I know you guys got a bunch of things that you need to do. But I really want you to check out the ethnographic resources. And I stress this because your first milestone is coming up, and this is a key aspect to it. All right. you really need to go through and explore what ethnography is, what participant observation is. All right. And well, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to do it in this class. We're going to try to do everything but. Okay. Yeah, you're actually going to be, using how you're going to describe how you use ethnography as your research method and how that's going to support your tourism proposal for your milestone. So it's a really important concept. So please take the time to read through these extra resources on it. And yeah, I'm more than happy to set up a Skype meeting if y'all want to pick my brain on it. If you want more stories about ethnographic research and the pitfalls therein, and yeah, feel free. I'm more than happy to help. So that's where I'm going to leave this, and I hope you all have a great one. I'll see you in the discussion boards. Take care.